Hey everybody, this is Jamie Shaw and Wonderwit, and this is Thriving Thursday. So we're happy to be here to put on a good show for you. And tonight we are talking about the 10 common mindset problems. For a minute, so
It's all right. It's all right. It's been a long week. I don't know about you, but it's been a long week for me. So, but I'm definitely happy to be here, and as always, bring some good content and some great stuff to the show. Driving Thursday. Here we go. 10 common mindset problems. I really like mindset. Mindset's always kind of like my jam. I think that's not a secret anymore. But you know, I really like coming on here with Jamie and bantering back and forth, because mindset is one of those concepts that you can just kind of talk about. So excuse my kids in the background. It's been a long week for them too. But 10 common mindset problems. This is I think these problems really affect a lot of people, and especially once we get to the last one. That one is going to be the key component. So stay tuned. If you hear some things that you might think are like a little woo-woo or a little fluffy and just kind of out there and maybe a little too new age thinking for you, stick around to the last one, and I promise it'll all make sense.
Exactly. I thought I was into mindset really heavy until I started picking Wonder's brain, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm totally still kind of a newbie to all this mindset stuff after talking to her for about 20 minutes.
I'm a junkie. I'm like a mindset junkie. I think I'm just a learning junkie. And, when I dig into something, I definitely dig in, full force with my teeth and everything. So when I started, I think my mindset journey started a few years back, and of course my extenuating circumstances at the time really led me there. But now becoming, more and more comfortable with mindset, and then knowing that I have to push myself outside that comfort zone and get uncomfortable again, I think continues my rapid expansion. So as soon as I get comfortable with something, I'm looking for something new to move into.
Right. Always challenging yourself. And I have to do that too with my mindset. I have to always challenge myself, find something new to listen to. I've been on this big Divi thing, on the WordPress websites, using the Divi builder and learning everything about Divi, and another drag and drop builder that I'm learning how to use, and I've been all over the place. I joined some groups last couple of days, and I've learned some super ninja secret tricks and stuff in there. I'm like, wow, I didn't know this could do this crap. So, so I'm the same way when it comes to building websites and stuff like that. So it's totally understandable.
Sorry, just sending a little welcome message to our chat. Guys, if you're watching, don't forget to sign in and leave us a comment in the chat. Say hey, say what's up. If you have questions, feel free to ask. We are always really glad to get some questions. It makes it a lot more interesting for us, and it helps us give you better value as well and actually benefit you more. So don't be afraid to ask questions in that chat. But let's go ahead and dive in our 10 common problems. So mindset is one of those things that I feel like gets kind of thrown around, and for some of us, we latch on to the idea right away and the concept, and it's very fluid and it makes sense. But for other people, it doesn't make sense. Mindset is kind of just this abstract idea that doesn't really have a tangible, you can't hold it, you can't touch it, see it. It's in your mind. So it's something that's harder for people who are used to concept or concrete ideas to grab onto and kind of go with. And in this industry, you hear mindset a lot. Oh, you have to have the right mindset, or you have to have a positive mindset. And a lot of people think, okay, well, I have a positive mindset, but if I have to develop this, how do I develop it from here? And this is where guidance really comes into play. But these are the biggest things out there. So the first one is a goal and vision. a lot of times people don't have structured goals. Some people don't have any goals. I've met people who don't have any dreams. And it's not that they don't want things. It's just that they've never really allowed themselves to harness that creative part of their brain that says, you know, wouldn't it be nice if? Or maybe somebody who's thinking, you know, a little small, in the grand scheme of things. Somebody who doesn't really have the grandeur type of vision. They have a very modest type of vision or goals or dreams that they want to attain. You know, for a lot of people, a dream is taking a vacation, and it's a little heartbreaking for me when I work with somebody like that, just because I have always been a big dreamer, and I don't think I know how to dream small. I think that's probably my biggest asset when it comes to mindset, is that the sky's the limit for me. And even at that, I'm still like, well, there's the stars and there's planets and there's galaxies, so maybe not. But you know, when it comes to goals and vision, you really have to allow yourself to get very, very creative. Because I remember breaking this down for one of my clients once, and it was, you know, I told her, do you want to be a 6-figure income earner? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, you know, you have to make almost $10,000 a month to be a 6-figure income earner. And she said, yeah. And I said, well, what would you do with that kind of money if you had it? I mean, all your bills are paid, all your friends and family are helped, and she had goals. She wanted to start, you know, a give back community program. And of course, you know, at some point, I think we all kind of want to do that. And I said, okay, well, what if you were a 7-figure income earner? And she was like, well, yeah, I'd still want to do that. And I go, well, let's play with this number, because it takes 10 grand a month to be a 6-figure income earner. Now, at 7 figures, you're making over $80,000 a month. $80,000 a month. That's a lot of zeros with commas. And that's something that a lot of people aren't used to thinking, because when you have bills and you have a house and you have cars, it's kind of easy to think in terms of thousands of dollars, because you spend thousands of dollars a month just maintaining that. So making that jump to 10,000 from 5 to 10 isn't too hard, but making a jump from 5 to 80 is very difficult. It's definitely a different game. So having that concept of pushing yourself even more, like, man, if I'm making $80,000 a month, I mean, most people don't make that in a year, but if I'm making $80,000 a month, what are my goals? Like, I've helped my friends, I've helped my family, I'm a community resource. I'm a partner in my community, you know, I'm somebody who people reach out to, and, you know, you're doing those things and you've taken your vacations. What do you do next? A lot of people don't know how to answer that question. A lot of people. And it's not that that's wrong. It's just we aren't used to thinking that way. We aren't used to training our mind to envision that sort of freedom and that sort of financial circumstance to be able to do things, those financial options. And so it becomes a game of like, whoa, my mind is blown. Do I have real estate property somewhere that is that another stream of income for me? Am I, you know, what am I doing with myself? Jamie, do you have any thoughts on this?
Right. Yeah. I've always, you know, for the longest time, I was kind of just floating around. I didn't really have any definitive goals. And then, you know, over the last year, you know, I've started writing some goals down, you know, trying to give myself a timeline to achieve them goals. Because when I was just floating around, you know, oh, I'm going to do this, and then procrastination sets in, and, you know, I wouldn't get it done. But if I write it down and set a timeline to get it done, it seems like I get it done, you know. And, you know, maybe some of my goals aren't big enough, you know, and that's what I have a problem with, is not setting huge goals, because I don't want to fail at not achieving the goals. But from all the mindset training I've had, I have to set astronomical goals and try to go out there and achieve them.
Yeah, see, like, and this is one thing. I didn't know this about Gary Vee for the longest time. I think it was like a year after following him that I'd heard about his dream to buy the New York Jets. And I was like, that's really awesome. And that's his astronomical dream, you know, and he set that, you know, years ago, but you know, he still hasn't done it yet. And I think he's got a deadline. I forget what year he wants to do this by, but he set a deadline. He set a huge goal and he set a deadline for it. And that's another thing is, you know, the thing about deadlines is you do have to take them seriously, but when you don't meet them, a lot of people get disheartened. And what I'd really like to see somebody do when they don't meet their goal, whether it's like a 90-day goal or a 5-year goal, whatever, to take that goal and say, what didn't I do to accomplish this? And break it down that way and look back and say, you know, look where you could have done more and not beat yourself up about it, but step it up. Stop playing small, you know? And that's something that a lot of people, again, this is a mindset thing. There's usually a common theme or some sort of barrier that prevents people from meeting their goals, whether it's a small 30-day, 90-day, 100-day, 1 year, 5-year, doesn't matter. But, you know, when one of those lesser spectrum goals, a lot of people don't meet them because of the mindset.
No, kids must have been getting rowdy. Yeah, and you know, I didn't think goals were important when, you know, I was kind of floating around. I didn't really think they were important. I didn't listen, you know, but I found out over the last year and a half, you know, you have to, you know, set some goals. You have to write. It don't do any good just to set the goal. You have to actually write it down. Think and Grow Rich, what's called a major definite purpose. You have to have a major definite purpose as to what your goal is and what you're going to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. And I have set goals in the past that I didn't write down, and they don't manifest. That's the problem, is they don't actually manifest. When you write something down or you stick a picture somewhere and you mentally tie it to a goal and you say, this is my goal. This is why I don't usually use pictures. I usually write things down. For me, pictures don't necessarily do it all the time, but if you're going to use pictures and imagery, make sure that you tie mentally, you stare at this picture every day and you say, I'm going to get you. You're going to come to me. This is going to happen. This is coming. And you make sure you repeat that every day. Every time you see it, this is coming. I did that with my car. I think I still have a picture. Yeah. So I did that with the car, right? My car got totaled and I put this red car on my mirror, and every day I said, the car is coming. The car is coming. Because I didn't have enough money to buy another car without taking on a clunker or taking on huge payments. And that wasn't in my finances at the time. So I manifested this car, and I kid you not, it's not the same make and model, but there is a shiny red car in my driveway right now. So it did take some time, but it was worth it. These things manifest, and that is the only time I've ever used an image, and that has worked. But I've written things down. I mean, Jamie's seen it. I have a vision board with sticky notes everywhere, and it's very organized, it's very detailed, and periodically I go through and I make sure that nothing on there isn't in line with my goals or things haven't changed. Because as you develop, like at one point I did want to have a social media management company, but that's not something I want to do anymore because it's just not, it's not my passion. As much as I love social media marketing, I don't want to manage other people's accounts. So, you know, if you're going to have vision and goals, you definitely need to write them down, make sure they're well organized, make sure it's somewhere you can see it every day. It doesn't end up in a junk drawer somewhere or tucked into a folder and hidden. You definitely want it there every day. And I promise you, the day you feel like quitting, you're going to see that board and you're not going to want to take it down because there's a pride attached to it. There's that mental block that's going to say, don't give up on your dreams. And it's going to make it a lot more persistent. But going back to, you know, why people don't accomplish their small goals, it's usually because of some sort of limiting belief. And that's our second point is limiting beliefs. Now, a common one, and I say common because it's probably about 80 to 90% of people don't believe that they are enough, that they're not good enough, they're not smart enough, they're not, pretty enough or funny enough, or there's some sort of lack tied there. And so what gets a lot of people play small because they're stuck here thinking, I'm not enough, I'm not going to really accomplish this because it's just not, it's not in my cards, or I'm the underdog, this kind of stuff doesn't happen to me, I don't deserve it. That's another one that people usually have rattling around in the back of their mind. There's so many different limiting beliefs, but the important thing is to identify it. And don't skim the surface, if you're like, oh man, yeah, I guess I'm not enough. When you identify your limiting belief, you will know it in your whole being. Every part of you will feel it. I struggled with the I'm not enough for a long time, and it took years to build myself back up just because of what I had been through personally. And that's the case for a lot of people. But recently, I realized, I was at our annual company event, and I had a realization that I still had a limiting belief that even though I was working as hard as I was and I was doing all the things that I was supposed to do, that it really wasn't going to happen for me because I was still waiting for the bottom to fall out. And it was a really emotional moment for me to realize that. And even now I'm still getting emotional, but it radiates in your body as soon as you identify it. And I saw where I was playing smaller, where I wasn't quite giving my 1,000% that I would with anybody else. I didn't really show up the same way for myself. And when you identify your limiting belief and you make that realization, you can see that and you will make adjustments. Because once you identify something, you can counter it. That's the important part. It's like unmasking a villain. Like in Scooby-Doo, where they unmask the villain and they're like, it was really you? Like, really? Now you know who it is. Now you know, it's a sham. It's not, there's no big monster. You can go out and attack those goals. You can get after them.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I always have problems with thinking I wasn't enough, for a long time, until I started listening to audios and reading every day and trying to change my mindset. I always, I had a limiting belief growing up that my dad always told me that I'd never amount to anything. So I struggled with that for a long time too. And then when I started realizing I was good at certain things, and then, I have my wife who's encouraged me. She's put me back through school and everything and pushed me, I'd say, oh, I'm stupid, No, you're not, you need to quit saying that. And, that's kind of in the way of limiting belief that's actually another topic as we get down farther into it. So, self-talk. But, we all struggle with limiting beliefs, something that a teacher said to us, a coach said to us, you're not good enough to do this or good enough to do that. And for some reason, we hold that in our mind and we believe that. And it doesn't, I don't know how to say what I want to say. We struggle with that belief, all the way up into adulthood, and we carry it with us all the time, and we don't know how to get rid of it. And it's not till we come in and do mindset training or talk to a psychiatrist or whatever to get rid of that limiting belief.
Yeah, definitely. It does take time. And I've had a lot of mentors along the way, and a lot of really good ones, thankfully. I have so much kudos to give out, but I've hashed those out. Like, you really do have to volley with somebody. A lot of the time it does take a second person to help you counter. Don't think you have to do all of this alone. And that was one of my biggest mistakes too along the way, was thinking that I needed to do this alone. And part of it was just an ego thing. Honestly, if I'm going to be completely transparent here, it's an ego thing, because I wanted to do it alone. I wanted to prove that I didn't need anybody to to be successful. And the truth of the matter is, nobody's saying anything new. We're all learning the same things, and we're putting our own twists on it. And there's people who influence us along the way. So inevitably, if you're learning, you're being influenced. You're allowing influence, and that's a good thing, you know. And you're going to have teams along the way. That's what you want to be building. It is much easier to, especially if you're in network marketing, it is much easier to sell a team than it is to sell you. And it's not necessarily that you don't believe in yourself or anything like that. It's just teams are assets. Team is community. Team is tribe. You know, it's an important asset to whatever you're presenting. So that way nobody feels alone. That's like one of the worst feelings in the world. But limiting beliefs, don't limit yourself to thinking that you have to do it alone. Have the conversations, reach out to people, whether it's, you know, a spouse, a friend, a colleague, all of the above, a mentor, psychiatrist, therapist, whatever. Do your thing. Nobody's going to sit there and hate you for it. And if they do, well, obviously that speaks volumes about their mindset. You know, that they're not making the progress. Don't even worry about that stuff. But going on to our third point, and this is a big problem for a lot of people, is replaying past events or past negative events and beliefs, specifically self-talk. A lot of time, like Jamie was saying, people along the way will say something that gets stuck in your head. Or maybe we've taken it a certain way and it's not resonated well with us. And it has a negative effect and a negative impact. And we've allowed it to shape us in some way, shape, or form. We've allowed it to shape us. A lot of times that replays over and over and over. And it's something that you definitely have to pinpoint. You have to be able to say, you know, because so-and-so broke up with me, I think I'm not good enough. So I put on, you know, I bolster up over here. I try to compensate here. Sorry, that scared me. The alarm went off.
Yeah, I have a lot of problems with that too, you know, and I carry on conversation with myself for long periods of time. And sometimes I catch myself talking negatively to myself, and I got to bring myself out of it. You know, because the field I work in, you know, if I didn't talk to myself and talk my way through a problem to find a solution to the problem, then I wouldn't be a very good designer or very good at IT. You know, and a lot of times in IT, you got to walk yourself and talk yourself through the problem. So I have a lot of conversations with myself. So I got to watch the negative talk and, hey, what'd you do that for, stupid? You know, that's one big thing. And, you know, it's just common practice. You know, it's something we just do to ourselves, and you got to deviate away from it.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the things that I kept repeating to myself was just that it's a rough night. It's a rough parenting night over here. One of the things that I kept repeating to myself was like, I can never do anything right, or nothing ever works out, and stuff like that. And so repeating that, and I don't even like saying it now because it's like, ugh, it's like leaves me with bad vibes. Wash it off or something. But you have that language, and a lot of times we said it so much to ourselves that we don't even think anything of it anymore. And it takes self-awareness and a conscious presence. Mindfulness also gets thrown around a lot, and this is what mindfulness means, is to be conscious and self-aware in every moment. And yes, it is exhausting, but it is much more fulfilling of an existence than to aimlessly and unconsciously be tossed about by different currents and different people.
Kids are getting wild again.
I know, I swear, I feel like I live in a circus.
Uh, I know I was the three oldest, 29, 28, and 27. So, you know, and they were
The whole 20 years of over me.
and the two oldest ones were mine, and the third oldest one was Birdie's, you know, so we had mine and hers. And it was like crazy because they're only a year apart. They're always fighting, always arguing, you know, so I know where you're at right now.
There's definitely some tears going on. I'm crying mentally. I'm just like I'm sorry. The fourth point is replacing negative beliefs with positive affirmation. So once you identify that negative speech, it is incredibly important to counterattack right in that moment. And don't wait till you get home when you have quiet space. It never works out. Okay, timing's never right. Nothing's ever perfect. Get over it. Do it in the moment. When you have that negative self-talk where you're like, oh, nothing ever happens, or I can never do anything right, it's important to counter it in that moment and say, this is just a bad moment. This is just one bad moment. Over smoothly. And it sounds so cheesy and corny and fluffy, but it works because your brain switches into problem-solving mode and says, okay, we're not giving up. We're going to fight, and we're going to keep going with our day, and everything's going to work out because we just said it was going to work out. So now let's figure out a way to work it out. That's where your brain starts processing. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. Even when you're mad and you're just starting this and you don't really believe what you're saying, it helps your brain get into the habit. It's rewiring and reconditioning your brain to work properly.
Yeah, I agree with that because sometimes, you know, instead of listening to, you know, just a mindset audio or a training on my commute, I'll go look at motivational video on YouTube where you know, it's a combination of different speakers, anywhere from Jim Rohn to Tony Robbins to Eric Thomas to Earl Nightingale, you know, and it's a bunch of them mixed together in this motivational video, or I'll go look up affirmations on YouTube and just listen to it on the drive home instead of listen to a mindset training or you know, a company-wide training or whatever. Just listen to the motivational video or listen to the affirmation video. You know, it helps. You know, and sometimes even at work, I'll throw in some. I think it's called Mind Persuasion on YouTube. I go to them and I'll just put them in, and it's like binaural beats and stuff like that at the brain waves that help you think logically and, you know, help you focus and stuff like that. You know, so all that stuff helps.
I'm going to mute myself here. Okay. Yeah, and everything gives off vibrational energy, especially nature. Nature is one of the highest occurring vibrations. So take that into consideration. You know, if you got to take a walk, that's probably one of the best things you can do for yourself, just mentally and scientifically speaking. But if you don't counter those negative beliefs, you won't get anywhere. It's one thing to be aware of the negative beliefs, but if you don't stop beating yourself up and start building yourself up, you're not going to get anywhere. Right. So that brings up personal growth.
Wait, I want to say one thing on the personal growth. I mean, you said something about the woods and the tranquility. I deer hunt, you know, and I don't deer hunt just to go out and kill animals. I deer hunt because that's my tranquility. Sitting in the woods with my eyes closed, hearing, you know, a stick break, and you look up and there's a beautiful animal standing right there. You know, that's my comfort zone. That's my safe space. You know, and that's why I do it mainly. I mean, yeah, I get the benefit of, you know, killing a deer and putting food on the table, even though I'm the one who eats deer, but it's not the drive of the hunt that drives me. It's the tranquility of the wilderness around me that drives me.
Yeah, see, okay, so I recently took up fishing. I'm not very good. I mean, I've caught a few, and it's mostly just for fun because we catch and release. They're, you know, they're tiny little, whatever. They're like bait fish. But we catch them and we release them, and I love sitting there by the water and out by the nature, and it's cool in the evenings when the fish are biting, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. But it's funny you bring up the trees. My uncle was here, and we were talking, and he was talking to me about the study that they've done, that people who live by pine trees are less likely to be sick. Apparently, pine trees emit a pheromone that promotes wellness, that your body responds to, and it's basically like breathing in antioxidants all the time. So I thought that was really cool. But there's a reason stuff works, and it's crazy how detailed the science can go into behind it. But go take a walk, enjoy yourself. You don't even have to be thinking about the science to have fun and enjoy the benefit. But yeah, going into personal growth, if you are not learning, you are dying. A lot of us get up, and this is something that Dr. Joe Dispenza was talking to us about at this event. Was that every day we wake up and we hear the same alarm and we hit the same snooze button the same amount of times, and we think the same thoughts of, I don't want to go to work today, and I don't want to get up, and I just coffee, I need coffee, and we shuffle our same little shuffle, and we scratch our butt the same way, and we go and we make our coffee, and we do that repetitive cycle day in and day out. We get in our car, we sit in traffic, we listen to the same stations, we listen to the same music, and we do the same things, and we still sit there and think the same, I don't want to go to work, and we drone on and on. We live the same day every day, constantly. We live the same year every year, and then before we know it, we blink, a couple of years has gone by, and nothing has happened because we put our brain on autopilot, and brain said, okay, let body take care of it. Body knows what to do. Body has muscle memory. Body can do all this. So body autopilots for you. And instead of actually being a consciousness, being a conscious person, awake and self-aware, we're on autopilot, and we're not learning, and we're slowly dying. And you'll notice that your health drastically declines in this because your brain stopped working. Your brain stopped learning. Your brain's like, we're just here, just chilling. Like, there's nothing to do today. So in order to prevent yourself from dying, you keep learning. Do something different. Even if it's, if you're in the 9 to 5 and that's your groove and that's where you want to stay, or maybe that's just a temporary thing for you, you still have to add in different things. Add in something different to your weekend where you're like, hey, I'm going to go check out a museum this weekend. I was talking to a colleague of mine today about this because we both work from home, and we're both full-time from home. And we were talking about, what's that thing, that really inspires you? And I was like, well, for me, it's doing something out of the ordinary. And it doesn't have to be something grand. I don't have to go to, take a vacation in the Philippines, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. It's just, you can treat yourself like a tourist in your own city. You can go and, there's tons of free museums or free events going on, farmers markets, all that kind of stuff. And, now that it's getting towards the fall festivals are coming up, do something just a little bit different, out of the norm, where you're forced to wake up your brain. And your brain says, oh, this is new. Body doesn't know what to do here. I got to take over. You want your brain to take over. You want to do this. And these are little ways to do your personal growth, but it exponentially amplifies your results. So it's not just, one thing or the other. It's a lot of different things that you can do for your personal growth. And of course, listening to different motivational speakers and, experts in different things where you're learning skill sets are obviously going to develop your person. So I don't know if Jamie, you have something to add?
Oh yeah, I'm always listening to something, and it's not. I'll get on a habit and listen. Like I listen to Diane Hockman, for 5 days in a row, and it'll be a different audio every day, but it's still her voice, and I don't know what it is about that lady, but her her voice gets stuck in my head, you know, and I can listen to somebody else, you know, the next week I'll move on to somebody else. I still got Diane Hockman stuck in my head because she's been in it for so long.
Yeah, by the way, if you didn't catch her live today, you need to go replay and watch the replay. It was really great. I had to catch the replay, but it was a good one.
I'll have to watch the replay. I was out. That's one thing about my job. Usually I'm sitting behind a computer designing either subdivision, right-of-way plat or a highway or something like that, or I'm working on somebody's computer because I can take care of all the IT stuff. But today I got to go out with one of the surveyors and help them on the survey. So I got to do something different. So it was kind of a treat. I got a fly bugging me. It was kind of a treat because I got to do something different. You know, I didn't get to go through the same old routine. You know, so I will have to go catch Diane's live. I seen her go live when I was out surveying. I just couldn't catch it at the time because I was deep in the woods, you know, fighting all. We were in some real cabbage today, you know, and I was trying to dodge all the tree limbs and stuff like that, so I couldn't really be watching on Facebook Live and trying to dodge tree limbs. I'd have caught one in the forehead or something. So,
this girl. No, it's the girl. It's like a circus over here. It's like a 3-ring circus because there's 3 kids, so it's a 3-ring circus. This is my circus. These are my monkeys. Who says you can't multitask? Okay, so after personal growth, lack of fulfillment is another common mindset problem. There's a lot of people wandering around that aren't necessarily unhappy, but they're not necessarily very happy either. And it's kind of like this weird, lukewarm, in-between phase of existence. And I can almost guarantee you that the person is wandering around, 1, because they're not conscious, and 2, because they're not fulfilled. They have not found their purpose. They haven't found that thing that they're like, this is why I'm on planet Earth. This is why I exist. This is why I wake up and I breathe and I do everything I do. When you have that purpose, it becomes a driving force. For me, personally, I like being the compass. I like being a wayfinder for people. I like guiding. That's where my thrive is. That's why I like putting brains, pulling them apart and putting them back together. That's why it makes me so happy, because 1, I know that I've helped somebody, and 2, that is my fulfillment. I get fulfillment from that. I feel valuable from that. And if you don't have that in your existence, it is very hard to be very happy. It is very hard to be happy at all. Before finding my fulfillment, before finding what my purpose was, I had a lot to complain about all the time. And even when I tried not to complain, which, if you know me, that's not really my jam, to sit there and complain. But even when I felt the need to try not to complain, I still wasn't very happy because I wasn't fulfilled. Jamie, do you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, mine's the same way. I mean, my comfort, or not my comfort zone, my jam is, you know, tinkering with stuff, you know, tearing a computer apart and putting it back together. Taking a blank canvas of a website, you know, slapping some paint on it and getting it all looking pretty and everything. I mean, I've made some ugly websites, I'll admit it, you know, but I make some damn good ones too. When I put my mind to it and I focus, and everybody will leave me alone and I can focus on what I want to do. You know, look at Thriving Thursday's website. It's a very good looking website, and that's probably one of the best ones I've ever done. And it all took having a vision of what I wanted to create, what I wanted it to look like, and how I wanted it to stand out from everybody else's. Everybody else uses a yellow button that says, click here to get in. Mine's orange. You know, I wanted to be different. I wanted to stand outside of the norm. And, you know, I went with colors that kind of stood out, orange. And I just noticed on my page I got 2 different color oranges. So that's something I'm going to have to go fix.
I didn't notice until you just said that.
I just noticed it as I'm looking at the page in the background. So
Like, he said that, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. Oh man. So yeah, fulfillment, purpose. It can be anything. It can be simple. It can be, complex. It doesn't matter. You just have to find it. And if you don't know what it is, you better start digging for it. That leads me into our next point, which is old behavior, basically self-sabotage. A lot of people get to the point in their development where they're doing things, but they aren't being. They do, but they aren't at the be stage. And what I mean by that is we do the things that we are supposed to, but we are not being the person we are supposed to, or are meant to, I should say. We aren't being the person we are meant to. And this comes back to self-sabotage and old behaviors. And there is still a part of your brain that is operating on body mode, where your brain it hasn't woken up yet. There's a little part back there that just hasn't quite woken up yet. And usually when you pinpoint your next limiting belief, and I say next because it's not a one and done thing. You're constantly developing, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you're in network marketing, you're going to be constantly developing. You're going to have more than one limiting belief. I'm not techie. I'm not brainy. I'm not smart. I'm not pretty. All that junk, those are kind of surface ones. I'm not enough. It's almost like a blanket statement. But you will find one that is specifically fine-tuned. And when you break through that one, nothing will stop you. The old behaviors will die, and you will feel them die. And you'll be acutely aware of them when they try to rear their head again. When the ghosts come out and play, because it doesn't suit you anymore. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit well. And you say, no, that's not for me anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we all go through that, telling ourselves we're not enough, or reverting back to old behaviors, and we have to catch ourselves all the time doing that. And that's part of your personal growth. That's part of your mindset. That's part of your development, to learn how to take yourself out of that old behavior and that self-sabotage. I mean, you'll never get rid of it completely. It comes back to you all the time. I mean, I go through it all the time,
I think it comes in bouts of fatigue. Like when you start getting frustrated that you're, not getting the results, or maybe your results are sliding back a little bit. But once you realize where you're at, again, you can adjust course right away and say, I'm not doing this right away. I'm not doing this anymore. I was doing this consistently and now I'm not. I was thinking this way before and now I'm not. Or, whether it's a tech side or a brain side, you will find that missing piece, that thing that you scaled back on. And again, I really do think it comes in bouts of fatigue when you're tired, or, you're tired of not being there yet, wherever your goal is.
I think it comes in when you get haters too. They say things that makes you second guess yourself, and makes you think about, is it true that what he said about me, or what she said about me, is that true? It makes your mind start working, and it's just, your mind's designed to protect you. So if it feels something that is gonna hurt you, it goes into overdrive to protect you from being hurt.
Exactly. It tries to put the shell around you, and you slide back. It's a mechanism, because when somebody, especially, a hater, stabs you where you were confident, you're like, whoa, that's, ow. Like, hey, hold on a second here. And it bothers you. It bothers me. Sometimes I get a hater and I can brush it off because I'm like, yeah, that's not true. And I just toss it out the window. And sometimes I get a hater that hits me where I was like, hey, I was proud of that. Hold on a second. Wait, that's not okay. And it gets you to question things. It gets you to really like, crap, am I doing this right? Or, am I messing this up? What, maybe they're right. And you start sliding into that thinking and your brain goes, protect you. And it puts the bubble and the old behaviors come out where, you know, you're in survival mode and you're not conscious.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, hold on.
You know, when
When do you need that?
we all have haters. If you don't have haters, then you're not doing something right. And you know, one of my mentors, Dave Renicky, says this all the time, and I've heard Pat Patterson say it all the time. If you don't have haters and you're not doing something, then you're doing it right. Because let me say it again: if you have haters, then you're doing something right. Because
I was gonna do it.
they're jealous of where you're at, you know, where you're going.
All right, bye.
Why people have to be like that, I don't know. But some people just do that, and they try to put you back. They try to, you know, I had one here recently, and they said things, you know, which I know they're not true and everything, but it makes your mind, like I was saying, it makes your mind start working. And you know, and after you sit back and evaluate it, and like, that's true. And what they're trying to do is provoke you into making you mad or making you upset. So you'll yell at them or call them names or whatever, you know, and you don't give away your power and do that to them. It makes them mad, and they just go away.
Yeah, and even, you know, even if they kick it up a notch, you kind of gotta be the person that says, "Block party, bye, Felicia." You gotta have that moment, and you know, there's a lot of situations that can lead to this. I mean, it's not just you know, outright haters. Sometimes it's somebody who's a little shady. Hold on a second, that's loud. But sometimes, you know, it can be somebody that maybe you're working with, somebody that you're acquaintances with, and there's just some sort of negativity coming in that can make your, and I don't think it makes your mind start working. I think it makes your mind, you know, push full force onto the brakes, and, you know, your brain stops working. You know, it stops working the way it really needs to, and goes back to survival mode, and creates that bubble because of the fear of getting hurt, and you know, balance, throwing off the balance of the ego. You get into a negative ego where you're in a state of lack. So there's a lot of different things, but again, you have to remain conscious. Why am I thinking this way? Why am I feeling this way? Is this something that is true or untrue? You know, if somebody's attacking your training, you know, okay, did I provide value? Did I provide something that was valuable to at least, you know, my target audience? If not, okay, well, now I can grow. And if you did, then yeah, they're just hating. Let it go. Move on. Like, that's what that is. So I'm gonna go.
A lot of people, you know, I think that was your next point, is what you said, your ego, or unbalanced ego. And a lot of people attack your ego because, you know, and they put down your training or your leadership abilities because they didn't do the work, and they feel that in their eyes, you know, you did this wrong, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. But the truth is, they didn't go in and do the work. So who are they to judge whether you're a strong leader, you're a strong trainer, you're a strong teacher, you know, or what value you provide? If they don't do the work, they're going to fail. It doesn't matter who they join. It doesn't matter what leader they go join. You go join an 8-figure earner, and you're still going to fail if you don't go in and do the work. And don't expect anybody else to do the work for you. You have to do the mindset training. You have to go through the training for whatever company you're aligned with. You have to go out and meet people. You have to write your blog post every day. You have to record your videos. You have to do your Facebook Live. You have to do your Twitter Lives. You don't do none of that, and you just expect money to fall in your bank account, well, you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, see, man, there's so much that can be touched on with this. You know, when you have a hater, I've had haters hate on. I gave out a free strategy that I recorded, and I didn't even call it training, and he was like, "This isn't training," and blah, blah, blah. He just attacked my inbox, and I was like, you know, I didn't send you to a capture page. I just hey, this is how I got my result. If you want it, you can have it. I sent him directly to the video. I didn't attempt to capture a lead out of it at all. So there was no benefit in it for me. He still attacked me. And I was thrown off by it because I was just like, I tried to help you. And you just like, Lauren. That threw me off because I was like, it really threw me off. But that was one thing that, and I had a friend say, why do you feel so bothered by it? And I was like, I think because I felt like it was unfair. And he was like, well, yeah, but life's not fair. So was your training good? Was it true? And I was like, well, yeah, absolutely. It worked. It works. It's worked in the past. It's worked, for other people. And he's like, well, then you gave value. So what are you gonna do next? And I was like, well, nothing. I gotta move on. When you put it that way, okay. It just kind of snaps some sense into you. And that's going, to our next point of the unbalanced ego, where the point of the ego, of your ego, isn't to inflate you past a certain point, and it's not to bring you down. Then I make the point of mentioning negative ego anytime that I talk about ego in general, because ego is the equalizer. It's there to build you where you need building, but it's also there to keep you humble where you need to be humble. It's not something you have to kill. You cannot kill. Ego, again, ego is your equalizer. So you have to balance it. You don't want a big head, but you don't want a small one either. You don't want to play yourself down and talk down to yourself, where, you know what? If you need to take inventory and figure out what you're actually good at. And then when you need to take inventory of what you're bad at, don't sit there and beat yourself up about it. Just and say, okay, this is what we got to work on. My strength first. As I'm building this, I'm going to play my strength. That's what ego is meant to do. It will keep you safe in times of distress. So like when you're being attacked, the brain kicks in your ego and says, whoa, what are we doing here? What is this true? Do I need to run? Do I need to fight? Where am I going? But you have to be the one that takes control of your mind. You have to be the one that steps it up. Jamie, I don't know if you had a point on that one.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I've got a seriously big ego. When it comes to computers and IT stuff, I will argue the point with you. And it's not because my head's been so inflated that I think my ego is above everybody else. It's just that I know what I'm talking about, and 9 times out of 10, I'm going to prove you wrong when it comes to IT or web design or something like that. Now, when it comes to other areas, marketing stuff, I will relinquish my power to you because, you have more authority over me. Like when you and I, I'm good at the IT stuff, so you let me have my power there. I know you're good at the mindset and the talking to people, so I let you have your power there because I can learn a lot from you if I just pay attention to what you're talking about. With the IT stuff, you can learn a lot from me if you just pay attention to what I'm telling you.
Yeah, see, there's definitely a difference between standing your ground and knowing where you're strong at and being pig-headed and shoving your face into somebody else's face. Actually, I had a minor disagreement with somebody before this. I was messaging somebody and I was talking about this mindset program that I've developed, and he was like, well, what's the point of that? And I was like, are you kidding? I was just blown away because he was in an MLM, and I'm like, you're in one of the MLMs with, that had one of the greatest people of our whole profession, and you're what? It was just mind-blown moment. And I was like, well, no player gets to the big leagues or the NFL or the NBA without a coach. And he's like, well, no, they get there based on performance. And I was like, oh yeah, because every athlete is born at, professional performance level. Everybody needs a coach. And he's like, well, I think you're reading too much into it. And I'm like, no, I don't think you're thinking enough about it. I mean, even, I named a big name in our space, a big public figure. And I was like, even he has coaches. He's admitted to having coaches. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. And he's like, no, he doesn't. I was like, I can't even argue this. I'm not even gonna, I sent the emoji like this. So can't even. I'm not even going to pick up that voluntary ignorance right now. It was just, yeah, that was a mind blown moment for me where I was just kind of like, I can't even, I'm not going to argue. This is, nope.
That's just crazy. Mentors, because the whole purpose of a mentor is to, when you get off path, is to steer you back on the right path. And it doesn't matter if you're a professional baseball player, football player, you're a professional trainer, or you're a professional speaker. You have to have someone to steer you back on the right path, because we all venture off the wrong path occasionally. And that's what a mentor's job is. And to say somebody that's a big public figure in our space didn't have mentors is just crazy.
It was just, it was pretty bananas to me. I can't even, I'm not going to pick that one up.
Yeah.
But going into our almost last point is meditating. This is something that's pretty important, especially once you have your goal set. Can you close that, please? No. So meditating, in my notes it said, meditation is your tie to receiving vibrational energy. And it is true. When you are meditating, this is something that's kind of hyperfluff. A lot of people just kind of sit in a quiet space and kind of chill to yourself. But what you want to be doing is visualizing. So you're visually stimulating images into your brain. That's what visualization is. And you're holding it there in your mind. And that is what meditation is. So you're holding these images and you're feeling the feelings, you're smelling the smells. You know, when I talk to people about, you know, they want to build a dream house and say, okay, what color is your cabinets? What color is your floor? And they haven't thought that far. they want the dream house, but they haven't thought that far. And sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Okay, so they haven't thought that far, and I'm like, well, where do you take your morning coffee in the house? What kind of chair are you sitting in? Are you sitting at the table? Are you sitting on the deck? Is there a swing? You know, you have to get to that point where you know the ins and outs of your, if this is, you know, your dream home, then you have to know the ins and outs of your home. What do you have in it? What's the furniture look like? What's the colors of the interior? How did you decorate it? You want to get that detailed because you want to be able to eventually stimulate down to the smell of what it smells like when you walk into your house, or what it smells like when you walk out on your porch in the morning or in the evening. You want to have that crystal clear image in your mind and hold it in your mind. That's how you visualize. That's how you meditate, and you will magnify your vibrational energy. I mean, through the roof. There's just this is the way to really fine tune. You want to get real detailed about your visualization and take your meditation to the next level.
All right, I just started getting into the meditation stuff, and you know, and I haven't got to the quiet mind part of it yet. I'm still in just learning how to do it, and my mind's just going crazy because you can't shut your mind down, but you can learn to control your thoughts and of your subconscious mind, and that's the point of meditating. But like I said, you know, I've just started into it, you know, within the last couple of weeks, and I'm still learning a lot about it, and I've got a long journey to go. But just being able to sit there and try to quiet your mind and hear all the thoughts that run through your mind is kind of amazing, just being in a quiet space and doing it. But I don't have a lot of experience with it, so I can't elaborate on it too much. So.
Okay, can you hear me? Sorry, it froze for a second.
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, so the last point, and I'm going to run through this real quick because we're almost out of time, is comfort. Comfort is a mindset problem. It's a big mindset problem because if you've listened to all of this, and this is why I said stick to the end, hear me out. Because if you listen to all of this and you thought, that's not really for me, it's not really my thing, it's because you're comfortable. You're comfortable in your lukewarm, non-conscious state. But I guarantee you at the end of your days when you're, hopefully like 90 and, coughing out your last breath, you're going to think, why didn't I do this? I should have done more. I have heard so many people say, go spend time in a nursing home and ask them what their biggest regret is. And I guarantee you're going to hear them say, I wish I had done this. Or I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd taken the vacation. I wish I hadn't worked so much. I wish I, had accomplished my goals and actually, tried to get to my goals. Because you know what? I'd rather crash and burn trying than to just get to my grave with my little moo-moo on. And be like, I didn't accomplish anything. That's probably one of the worst ways to die is unfulfilled.
Yeah, I agree with that. My wife and I never took our first actual family vacation until we were married like 15 years because we have 7 kids between us. We raised 5 of them. So, we never could afford to take a family vacation because, let's face it, kids are expensive. You wonder what? No, she's got 3 of them right now. So over the last few years, we tried to go somewhere. We've gone to Branson, Missouri. Last year we took off over our anniversary and went to South Dakota, and it's because when we were raising our kids, we never could afford to do it. So now we're in a space where we can afford to do it. And we both enjoy going and seeing different things and everything and traveling. And, but, you think back of when you were a teenager, you always did like going out to we had a spot in the river where we had a rope swing. We'd swing out and drop in the river, You're out of your comfort zone. You're doing things that you would never even think you'd do. My wife's never been on an airplane, and I've been trying to take her. I want to take her to Hawaii for our 25th anniversary, but I got to figure out how to get her on an airplane to get her to Hawaii because we're not taking a boat over there. That's for sure. So and it's just getting her out of her comfort zone. And when I was in the military, I worked on air refuelers. I went skydiving because I had to experience what it would be like to bail out of an air refueler if something happened when I was 30,000 feet in the air refueling a bomber or whatever. So I went out and went skydiving, and it actually was fun. And you tell people that, and like, oh, you're crazy, because they're afraid to step out of their comfort zone. I knew, because I worked on tankers, KC-135A models when I was in the Air Force. It's a flying gas tank that refuels B-52s, F-16s, all the different airplanes. The survival rate of bailing out of a tanker is 10%. So I had to know how to bail out of one in case I ever had to. So that was the whole purpose of do it. The whole purpose of why I did it. So I had to step out of my comfort zone. And was I scared to death? Yeah, I was scared to death to jump out of a perfectly good airplane, but I did it, and I overcame my fear. It's like back over a year and a half ago. I was afraid to do video. Well, I did one, stepped out of my comfort zone and did one, and guess what? I'm not afraid to do videos no more.
Yeah. Comfort zone is the killer. The uncomfort zone is where all the magic happens. That's where all the good things, abundance, wealth, health, everything happens in the uncomfort zone. So you have to push yourself out of your bubble. And like I said, stepping through a process of mindset development will definitely get you there. You just have to stay consistent, and you have to be adamant, because in all reality, it does mean your life. It is a life or death matter, because are you really living, or are you just slowly dying?
Right. Right. And a lot of people don't experience that because they stay inside their bubble and they won't step out of it. And life is so much better on the outside instead of staying in that little bubble. Because I used to, for a long time, stay in that bubble, and ever since I started stepping out of what I'm comfortable with doing, my growth has been exponential. So.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Barb. Barb's on here. I just want to say hi. So Tim's probably close by if he's not watching with her. I want to give the Mavericks a shout out. Glad to see you guys here.
And Dave Renick is in the chat, and I thought I seen someone else in the chat. I don't know. I don't see anybody else making comments. There's other people on, but I don't see them making comments.
Yeah.
We're at the top of the hour, so there's your 10.
Yep, those are the 10.
Your 10 mindset, 10 common mindset problems. If you need us to lay out the 10 for you in a format or whatever, you can contact me or WonderWit, and we can do a PDF for you, so you can, you'll have them, so you can see what they are and everything. Go below the chat, and there's contact Jamie Shaw. I think it says Jamie Shaw. Yeah, contact Jamie Shaw. Contact WonderWit. It'll take you straight to our Facebook page. You can ask us whatever question you need to ask us, send a friend request, whatever you want to do. Even if you just have a question for us, do that.
Yeah, no pressure, no strings attached, guys. We really just want to help. That's why we do the show every week. And we are glad that you're here and you're watching. So if you do get a chance to come by next Thursday, please do, and get in the chat. Let us know if you're new in the chat, where you're from. We really want to connect with you guys. And again, we can serve you better if you're asking questions, and we know where to direct your conversation.
Yeah, I think next week we're going to do a little more mindset stuff, and then I've got some blogging stuff coming in, or not blogging, but website stuff, how to set up a website and stuff like that coming up pretty for long too. I know WonderWitch loves to watch that because how to set up her website when I do that. So
it hurts my brain.
It's like you were hurting my brain last night.
I think my brain hurts. I can't go on. Somebody asked me if I was on the last training for Manny Chat, and I was like, I need a translator. I'm going to wait.
Yeah. I recorded it last night because we left and went for our walk. And so I recorded it, so I got to go through and watch it. I caught the last part of it, and I rewound while the video was processed, and I rewound and watched some of it. And he kind of rehashed some of the same stuff, but he showed a few new things. So that's pretty cool. I got to go back and touch on that. So I got my bot working pretty good. Sometimes it don't work for the crap. So
yeah, well, I'm working up my bravery to ask you for help. But yeah, I want to talk to you about the idea for next week. But for now, we should probably let everyone go and respect their time. And guys, thanks for coming, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep, we'll see you next week.